Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday. We are here live on the channel doing tarot readings this Friday, May 16th, 2025. So if you guys are watching on Saturday or Sunday, I am no longer live, but hopefully you guys can catch me back here next week. And this is our Friday night live show. So we alternate between, every other Friday we do tarot or astrology. This week is going to be tarot, so if this is your first time joining me, say hello in the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can see this video, and make sure you subscribe below so you can be here for other future lives on Friday nights. I'm here at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, and that is 7 p.m. Eastern. I hope you guys are well. How's your Friday nights going so far? Please share the stream out. Sharing is caring. It helps the channel grow. And we're going to be doing tarot, so we're doing 1 card spreads for $20 donation, 3 card spreads for $40. Scan the QR code right up here if you want to get in the queue and get your reading. Please make sure you put any details pertaining to your question in the memo box for PayPal, and we'll get right on our way. So I know we've got a lot of people who are already in the chat. David's here, Alyssa, Dorothy. We've also got Red Druidess. What's up, Corey? And Kayla and Crystal. What's up, guys? All right, so if you're new here, if you pay attention at some point, you will see not just a QR code, but you'll see a running scroll across the screen. That'll let you know if you're already in the queue, so it's right up there. So if you see your name, I've got you. We'll let you guys know how long we're gonna keep the queue open for. We also take Super Chat if you guys would like to donate on PayPal, not on PayPal, on YouTube. And you'll hear me calling out a set of names. So I'll give you guys a couple names in advance to let you know if your reading's coming up. Sometimes these can last a little bit longer. So if you get a reading and you don't want to wait, you guys can always come back to this video at a later point when we're no longer live. You can look for your reading, and you can come back and leave comments on the video as well and let me know how the reading pans out for you. All right, so for who we have in the queue, we've got level 3 people first. Those of you guys who don't know, I have memberships on my channel. I'm a full-time content creator putting out 4 videos a week. If you guys want to support me, you can do that by joining my memberships. Level 3 is going to come with a shout out. You support me, and you also get a reading once every month on any Friday of your choice, tarot or astrology, and you don't have to wait in line. So we're going to take Dorothy and Corey first. After that in the queue, I've got Matt, Miranda. We've also got Omar, Alana, Lula, Alyssa, Rachel, Kayla, and it looks like, did I pronounce that name right? Morale. Am I saying your name the right way? Let me know if I mispronounce your name. We've also got David. So all of you guys are in the queue. And we're going to get started first with Dorothy and then Corey, and then we'll move on to our other people who are in the waiting line for their reading. You guys get to watch the reading live. I've got a new deck of cards that I'm going to be using this evening, so let's see how this deck goes. I think it'd be fun to have something that's going to give a little bit more information pertaining to timing and stuff, so I'm just kind of practicing with this deck. We'll see how it goes. It might be a little bit harder to see on camera, but no worries. Mural, got it. Thank you. All right, so let's see what Dorothy has to say. I know she sent it in the chat. What's up, Dorothy? Thanks for being a level 3 member. Dorothy says, hey, Candace, I sent a payment. I think I might lose my job because of funding. Can you do a reading for me about what's next and how it might go? I'll leave it to you based on intuition. All right, well, let's see what we can tell Dorothy about what's coming up for her in regards to her job. Sounds like there's some concerns about funding. So what can the tarot tell us about the future of Dorothy's work? All right, so it was in this order. Put this upright so you can see it. So we've got 10 of Swords, the Empress, and the 6 of Pentacles. Yeah, seems a little challenging, but honestly, my interpretation with the 6 of Coins kind of being at the end of the spread makes me feel like there's going to be like a win-win situation. So starts with the 10 of Swords. Obviously, the 10 of Swords is a definite, like, oh my God, this is the end of the world, the end of the road. Something is, coming to a completion. It's also about like stress and feeling like there's nothing that you can do, that you're like a victim of circumstance and that you have no other option but like just releasing something and letting go, right? So this is coming up in like the past position. So it means that you've been privileged to some information, or there's some concerns that you're no longer going to proceed forward in this particular, position. However, tens always represent the end of like a cycle. So it might mean it's the end of doing work a certain way, or that there may be certain things that are like literally cut or severed that keeps you from being able to do the job the way you once did. The second card, which is in the present condition, is the Empress card. And so this is a really positive card. This can be a card that talks about positive things coming your way, especially in terms of opportunities for a woman or prominent women that can be supportive or helpful to you. This is also a card that talks about like new beginnings, and this is a card that's about birth. So where the Death card is going to be more about difficult endings, losing something, having to release something, the Empress card talks about like beneficial things that are coming in your direction, and that it's actually room for like a glow up or some kind of positive situation. Now, could this mean it's a new job opportunity, moving to a new department, or maybe just moving to a new job in general? Possibly. But I don't necessarily feel like this is the end of the road for you working with this company. I think that it's pretty fair to say that with the Six of Pentacles coming up in like the future position, this can indicate that there's like a win-win opportunity that's kind of coming for you, being able to stay and either moving into a different department or a different position. Timing wise, this can also indicate that there's going to be more changes coming down the road in about 6 months time, because Pentacles take the longest to kind of develop. With this card, it's a card of generosity and people willing to help you or assist you. So I could interpret this as going like, well, this is the end of doing the job the way that you used to do it. Yes, there's going to be budgeting cuts. There's going to be, probably people that are going to be let go. But the Empress really stands out to me as somebody who is going to have the opportunity to kind of remain in her position of power, or that there could be somebody who comes along that's like helping you and wants to kind of keep you actually at the position or at the company, because they see your value and they want to actually help you proceed to kind of move up that ladder. The Six of Coins also makes me feel like this is about you working together with other people. So this is a card that's about community. It can also be about, getting some kind of assistance or some kind of help. So it makes me feel like there could be like some kind of assessment determining which of the employees they're going to be keeping and who they're going to be letting go, but that you may actually be spared in the process and that you're going to be offered something. The other interpretation I could have is that if you do find out that there is going to be budgeting issues and that they are going to have to be cutting staff, this potential situation could actually come in the form of like a blessing in disguise, that the Empress card provides an opportunity for you to go and get into something new. Six of Coins could definitely indicate that there is some kind of severance, or that they're actually giving you like a retirement or like a severance package, something to incentivize you to be like, okay, we're going to let you go. But if we let you go, this is how it's going to benefit you in the long run. But intuitively, I don't really see you actually leaving the company. I would say, you're going to kind of feel this out for the next 6 months. You're going to see what happens. Likely there's going to be evaluations or assessments as to who or what they can keep in the company. And I think that you're going to make the cut. That's my thought. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Dorothy. You'll have to keep me updated and let me know what happens. All right, and we've got Corey. What's up, Corey? Thank you also for being a level 3 member. Appreciate it. You're very welcome. It has all the associations. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I wanted to get it more for like timing and stuff, so I thought it would be helpful for that. All right, so let's see what Corey has to say. So Corey says, 1 card tarot reading, yes or no style, Taurus sun, Gemini moon, Pisces ascendant. Went no contact with my older brother a couple of years ago. He had a long history with addiction, manipulation, and trouble with the law. Given our upbringing, I empathize to a certain extent and kind of a blind soft spot for him after our last conversation. I didn't feel safe staying in contact anymore, and it kind of lit him up. Because I was hurt and ghosted for my safety, though I still feel some guilt about it. He's been trying to reach out via Facebook and even through LinkedIn. Is it a good idea to open up to having a conversation, or should I stay low? Well, let's take a look. Let's see. So obviously, you know, this deck is going to give you a yes or no, but before I even get into that, if you're Pisces ascendant, you know, part of what's kind of going on is you're seeing the grand finale of Uranus getting ready to leave your third house whole sign. So it can represent like there is something kind of crazy and erratic going on in terms of communication with siblings. The card that I got for you is the 10 of coins. So if you're asking yes or no, obviously that's a yes. It's an interesting card to kind of pull for your situation with your brother, because I feel like it's kind of saying, look, in the long term, you know, you guys are going to be solid. Like, I don't see you abandoning the relationship with him. I don't really see you being in a situation where you're going to disconnect and, you know, choose not to have a relationship with him. Like, you're protecting you, your security, your safety, as well as potentially even like your family or your peace. This can be a card that talks about long-standing, you know, family challenges, but things that can ultimately be overcome in time. I kind of get the feeling that you're going to see, as Uranus is going in and out of your third house, that there is going to be this back and forth. So you might also want to see what's going on with your natal, obviously with your natal Jupiter, your natal Venus. There can be some aspects there that are kind of indicating whether or not you're needing to kind of prioritize yourself, or you're more open to communicating with him. I think down the road, you guys are going to be fine. You're going to be able to resolve some of these challenges and some of these issues. But at the end of the day, it's going to be about your peace as well as your security. So I really feel like in the long run, you guys will end up being okay. But for right now, if you feel like it's just too much, then if you give it some time, possibly even increments of 10. Obviously, in this card, it does talk about timing. So the timing that comes up is August through September. So that could potentially be a turning point where you have the opportunity to reevaluate kind of connecting with him. And I also think that, you know, tends to deal with like maturity. So it's about saying like, hey, we're family, but like, you know, I'm holding you accountable, and I'm not going to continue to be in this situation where I'm going to be vulnerable or manipulated based off of some of the issues that you've got going on. You may find that there could also be some kind of support that could be coming from other family and stability that can kind of reassure you and give you the necessary feedback, and also like appreciation and love that you need, so that way you don't feel bad about having to make this decision for right now. So hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, so we've got Matt and Miranda and Mariel. That's all up next. So if you guys want to get a reading, get in the queue, scan the QR code, and you can get added to the list. You can pay from anywhere if you do it through PayPal. Just scan the QR code and it'll take you to PayPal, and you can pay there. All right, so let's see what Matt has to say. What's up, Mr. Matt? And Matt's question is, looks like it's a 3-card spread. The saga of my health anxiety continues. I have just been nervous all week for a bunch of different reasons that I know are probably nothing serious. Not really sure how to handle Pluto transiting over my sun. Wanting some messages from Spirit regarding if there's anything they want me to know about my physical health and my mental health and anxiety. Visit with my new doctor is on the 17th of July. Well, Matt, I think you're really going to like actually the next week or so, because you're going to start to see trines that are going to be happening to Pluto on your sun. So this can indicate better communication, clarity. You might also find that there is support that comes from online communities, friends, as well as like neighbors and siblings with some of those trines. Yes, Pluto and Mercury are deep, but I feel like that can give you the opportunity to overcome like some mental challenges about health, especially if you're using the whole sign system as an Aries rising. So let's take a look and see what the cards have to say. So it was in this order. So we have got the 8 of Wands, the King of Cups, and the 6 of Swords. All positive cards. For me, every time I see the 6 of Swords, it's like this too shall pass. That's kind of the phrase that kind of comes to mind for me. So 8 of Wands is talking about taking action and kind of going in the right direction. So when the 8 of Wands comes up for me, it's an always like, yes, you're doing the right thing. You know, you're doing what you need to do. Like being proactive is definitely the most important thing when it comes to handling your health. So giving yourself credit for having the willingness and the bravery to overcome any fears that you might have about any particular health problems is what you want to give yourself credit for. Now, acknowledge that and see that you're taking a step in the right direction in overcoming your fear. Obviously, Pluto transits are all about that. It can be ego issues, it can be power issues, it can also be issues revolving around whether or not you feel like you're in control. So with the Eight of Wands coming up, it's saying that by taking action, you're putting yourself in the driver's seat of overcoming any potential health-related matters, becoming, I think, proactive and also aware, and being willing to kind of take care of business. So I think that's a positive card for you. And it's always about going in the right direction and things actually happening very quickly. So it might mean that, you know, the next couple of weeks fly by between now and the time that you have to go and see your doctor. You might feel like you get in there, you get in, you get out, like you get your results very quickly. Everything is very rapid and you're able to kind of overcome it with great, I think, speed as well as patience. Now, the King of Cups comes up in the center position. So I know that you're not a water sign, but the King of Cups can be about embodying this energy. Obviously, this can be talking about support that can come from water signs like Cancer, Scorpio, as well as Pisces. I think about how Saturn is wrapping up its transit in your 12th house, and obviously it's going through a water sign and a water house, and it can be about releasing control over things that you feel like you don't have control over. Obviously, you know, another theme with Pluto, but I think with Saturn being in the 12th house, it's more like mind over matter and releasing any fear of, okay, this is worst case scenario, or, you know, learning to kind of manage and navigate some of your emotional stuff with patience as well as with grace. And also, I think that the King of Cups is about mastering things. So it can mean that it's teaching you a lot about how your emotions influence your physical body, especially with aspects to Uranus in your second house. I also think that this can be showing you where you've been like growing and maturing a lot when it comes to stress, anxiety, you know, getting, you know, worried about things, and that you're learning new techniques that can be mindfulness based, where you're kind of more in control of your emotions and you're not allowing them to kind of have a physical impact on your physical body. So I think that this is about moving through some of that emotion, you know, learning how to master it a little bit better. All of the kings are also about becoming wise and like what some of these periods have taught you, whether it means that, you know, you've learned to listen to your emotions and that it can be telling you something is off, but it can also mean that it's teaching you where if you're listening to your emotions, you're really learning how to differentiate what is stress versus what is your intuition, right? What is anxiety versus what is your gut telling you? So by kind of paying attention to those emotions, and I think also this is about, you know, really learning to also practice emotional resistance and like resilience, that you can overcome anything, and that some things maybe aren't worth getting super worked up over because of the impact that it can have on your sleep, your emotional and your psychological health. So definitely grounding techniques, mindfulness techniques, meditation, journaling, rest, all of these things can be part of the lessons that come with the King of Cups. And then the final card is the Six of Swords. And so this is moving on, right? Moving past something, being like, okay, I'm moving through this with ease. But also, this is a card that's about moving on to calmer waters, or in a place where there's less stress or worry or anxiety. Sometimes this can be talking about learning your lesson and then moving forward. Other times this can be talking about, you know, leaving something behind. So I feel like for you, it's about going, okay, you know what, maybe you stress out for 2 months before you have your, medical exam. And then you kind of look back and you're like, that was not worth, you know, what I put myself through for 2 months. Or recognizing and realizing as you're kind of coming back from your appointment, like, oh, I got myself worked up over like nothing, you know, and that there is a need to really focus on moving forward and not getting super kind of consumed or worried about what has happened in the past. This can also be about healing some of the emotional or psychological issues that have kind of come up that have been directly tied to some of your health injuries or some of your trauma. So I know that you have spoken about things that have happened at work, or you've had injuries and things that took place while you were dealing with, the affected youth there. Maybe it means that part of the process of like actually leaving your job and switching jobs and going to a new location is going to be very therapeutic, and it's going to teach you that you're finally kind of crossing over into like a new phase where you no longer have to feel like you're in fight or flight mode, and you're no longer kind of in this period of like feeling like, oh my God, what's the next thing that's going to happen, right? You're learning to kind of find peace And I think a lot of this, I mean, because these are both cards that talk about movement, is about moving forward, like not getting attached or too strung up or consumed with the past and assuming that the past is going to repeat itself. Keeping it forward, being proactive, focusing on your goals, and reminding yourself that anything that comes up you can overcome, that you don't have to fall back into some of the same patterns where you're kind of psyching yourself out or you're having like PTSD because of what's happened in previous health scenarios. Hopefully that's helpful for you. You'll have to let me know how things go in the next like month or two. All right, so we have got Miranda and then Muriel. So let's see what Miranda says. And I saw Annette, Silk, and Sasha get in there. So if you guys heard your name, I've got you in the queue. All right, so let's see what Miranda has to say. You're welcome, Matt. Miranda says, happy Friday. I decided to go back to school and pursue bodywork and massage therapy. My goal is to make this my own business and get out of the corporate world. This is a big investment though. I'll be starting in July. Is this a smart move and will it be a success? Thank you. So you're a Scorpio rising with a Libra sun and a Cancer moon. All right, well, I'll tell you one thing, being a Scorpio rising, having Jupiter going into its exaltation in Cancer in your natal 9th house is a really good year to be going and learning about anything connected to healing, emotional, physical, any of that stuff. And what you'll see in 2026 is Jupiter will actually go into your 10th house, which is going to help your career expand. Obviously, the square to Saturn in your 6th is going to materialize as having to make sacrifices, cuts, changes in your current job, or changes to your schedule that's going to feel grueling, but it will be worth it. So let's see what the cards have to say for you. In this order, this is what you got. The Page of Coins, the Temperance card, and the King of Cups. He made another appearance. There he is. Is he going to be the card of the night? Maybe. I really like these cards for you, especially because I feel like, you know, education and taking on like a new course or certification or training is very much correlated and connected to the pages. Pages deal with education, learning a new skill, and also kind of planting a seed that can grow and evolve over time. Obviously, Page of Coins talks about not just the financial investment, but also the physical and I think the time that you're going to be investing into going and doing this. Page of Pentacles represents planting a seed that really is talking about learning skills that are going to help you develop stronger foundation for your finances in the future. So if your goal is to work for yourself, I think that this is a wonderful card to kind of start off the spread. It might mean that you're approaching this enthusiastically and that you're willing to make the necessary sacrifices, investments, and also apply yourself because you see the potential of having financial freedom in the future and working for yourself. The Center card represents where you're at now and the influences that are impacting moving forward between now and, like, let's say the summer. So the Temperance card is about healing. It's also about timing, balance, moderation. I think what's interesting is you may have like a knack for healing, like whether you have an interest in energy healing, body work, working with aromatherapy. The Temperance card is great for that. And it does talk about everything kind of coming together at the right moment and like patience. I think a lot of this is timing and also having a plan. So you might be looking at it going, okay, I'm going to be taking this program. I'm doing it for so long. And then when I'm done, you know, then I've got a plan for how I'm going to be going out and like building things. Pace yourself is the recommendation I would make with the Temperance card coming up, because I feel like with this, it's about finding the right balance, and it just keeps reminding me of Jupiter in your education zone, squaring Saturn in your work zone, where, you know, you may feel like there are some times where you're exhausted because you're overworking and you're also going to school. There may be situations where you're going to have to make sacrifices and you're going to have to kind of cut back or really streamline your schedule so you can make time for both. In some cases, it can also signify that you're kind of like either quitting a job or changing a job because you're really focused on your education. So whatever it is that you're doing, like really focus on moderation and not overwhelming yourself with some of the changes that you're going to be making. And I think that this is actually going to jumpstart for you like a process of wanting to learn other modalities that can be about healing and body work. Especially, you know, this is about products and supplements and working with essential oils or like working with like certain herbs or working with aromatherapy. because this is about alchemy and mixing things. So that might be something else that you kind of add to your toolbox, and you might be learning about some of that stuff alongside while you're doing the body work. So you feel like you're going to have a little bit more to offer that's going to separate you from other people who are just getting body work, because you might identify more as a healer. And then the final card you get is the King of Cups, which is interesting because in a career sense, this really talks about approaching this particular career because you're very compassionate, because you're sensitive. Obviously, you're Scorpio rising. But it can also be talking about that you're going through a process where you're realizing just how devoted you are to this practice, that it maybe feels very sacred for you, that you're really letting your heart lead in making some of these decisions when it comes to the work that you're going to be doing. It may also talk about the need to really practice some kind of like psychic protection or emotional protection. Anybody who's in body work will tell you that the more that you're working with people, you can be picking up and like absorbing things. And so you might be somebody who's just extra, sensitive. Obviously you got your sun in the 12th house. So I think you could say that. Cancer moon, I think you could say that. So a lot of this is going to be about learning how to kind of balance your energy, your emotions, and like not picking up stuff from other people. But in terms of you approaching, taking this course, I think it's a good idea. I don't think you're wasting your time. I don't think you're wasting your money. I think that I would pace myself and also recognize and realize that you're making a decision that's coming from the heart, where you're wanting to have an occupation that you love rather than feeling like you just have a day job. So you have to follow that, because I think that that's an important kind of lesson here with the King of Cups coming up. Certainly there can be other people who can be beneficial or helpful for you. So it can be like a male teacher, a counselor, it could be a mentor, but it can also be talking about other Cancers, Scorpios, and Pisces that can kind of come into the mix that can kind of help you with this career transformation. Hopefully that's helpful, and good luck on your new journey. That sounds very exciting. All right, so we have Mariel, Omar, and Alana. So let's see what Mariel has to say. All right, so this is going to be a 3-card spread. Libra rising, Capricorn sun, Leo moon, and lots of planets in Aquarius. I feel so lost and hopeless in my life. I'm stuck in my first corporate job to pay the bills, and I hate corporate. I was signed by a big acting agency and acting management in 2018, and I felt like it was finally in my purpose, and I was making a living off of being an artist. After COVID and the strike, I was dropped by my agent, and I didn't feel the same support and success in my career. I still have a manager, but I don't know what to do to get me back to my purpose as an artist and start booking again. I don't know if I should get a new team or if I'm doing something wrong. All right, well, let's take a look. I got you, Sophia. Libra rising. Well, one thing I would say for a Libra rising Capricorn sun is that the sun being in the 4th house means that you're going to have peaks and valleys when it comes to your career. Also, as a Libra rising, Jupiter is getting ready to come into your 10th house this summer, so that's going to be really good for your professional life. It's going to square Saturn. That's going to be in your 7th house, which means you need new management. You need new people to kind of partner with you to be able to kind of really reap some of the benefits of what's going to come. And if you can make some of those changes, you'll see some pretty prominent shifts that's going to be happening, especially come the fall of this year when Saturn and Jupiter are trining. I also think that it's a Leo moon that's kind of coming through that's like, I need the recognition, and over the next month or so, you're going to see trines happening to Pluto in your 5th house, which means it's about creating or reinventing yourself or doing something in a different way, maybe looking for support or allies that might be in other places. So it can be about trying to find like a manager or like a team in another city. It could be about trying to sign or get connected with somebody who's international. It could also be about traveling and kind of connecting with job opportunities in different places. The cards that you get are the 9 of Wands, the Fool, and the 10 of Wands. So 9 of Wands in the past position, obviously, for me, this feels like you're like, I don't know how much longer I can go on, and that makes sense. You're saying that you're feeling kind of stuck or you're feeling kind of lost. But when this card comes up for me, it always feels like there is this need to keep pushing, that there is this need to not allow yourself to give up. Like you have to kind of look at, you know, the situation and go, okay, everything that I've overcome and like what I've been able to achieve. And even though I've had a period where I feel like I've been like beaten down, this is about forging forward and like not willing to like accept defeat, in my opinion. You know, specifically, I'll tell you what this card says. Let's see. Last stand, patience. This is also about grit, resilience, preservation, and near success, even though you have fatigue, right? Like, I feel like for you, this is basically saying that you're ready to throw in the towel, but I think something is about to change. And I think that's true, especially with the Fool card coming up. This is a card that is directly connected to Uranus. And so Uranus is now kind of hovering around the late degrees in your 8th house. It's going to move into your 9th house, which is really indicating you're going to start training, teaching, traveling, you know, or connecting with collaborators that can be in other places. This is also like the philosophy about how you create is really going to change. And this is about taking a chance, a leap of faith. This might be about traveling. This can also be about pursuing things with this feeling that's like now or never. And not that you're not being cautious, but you're definitely saying, I'm willing to try new avenues when it comes to creativity or performing. I'm willing to put myself out there and do something that's maybe a little bit different than some of the work that I've done in the past. Maybe you're going to consider doing some independent stuff. Maybe you're going to consider that you're going to go and take some, you know, training, some acting work. Even though you've been successful and you've done your own thing and you've been signed, it looks like there is an opportunity for you to reinvent yourself or to kind of feel that there is some kind of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like inspiration that's kind of coming in, right? And it might be something that's like unusual, playful, or a little bit different than the work that you usually do. The final card that you get is the 10 of Wands. So, you know, this is talking about burdens. This is also talking about duty and stress and obligations. Part of the way that I look at this is that it can mean that there's like two contradictive energies in these cards. One is like, I just want to break free. And the other one's like, well, I feel kind of stuck in what I'm doing. Obviously, you're saying, you know, you have your first corporate job and you're paying the bills and you hate your job. And that could be the, you know, 10 of Wands. That's just like, I don't know how much longer I can make it here. You know, I'm struggling. Part of the setting yourself free with the Fool card might mean that you take a leap of faith and you're actually going to start to segue away from your corporate job. When you do that, it's hard to say. I definitely feel like I would be looking at some of the new job opportunities that are going to be sprouting out for you in June as you have the new moon in your 10th house. I would also be looking at when you have the eclipse that's going to be in Pisces in your 6th house, which is going to be around September. That eclipse will be ruled by Jupiter, which will be in your 10th house. And I think as a Libra rising, you might actually find that you're segueing away from one job, you're kind of leaving something behind, or you're giving something up because you're moving into something new. But it may require you to actually release or give, you know, put something down. Like the 10 of Wands can represent the end of a cycle. It could also mean that you really feel like then it gets to a point where you can't actually do both. So I would say you don't give up right now. It's full steam ahead. I would say go looking for new management or support, or maybe be looking to kind of like work with like a new agency. And I would be doing that between now and September. Look for some of the breakthroughs to be happening sometime between July and September of this year. And when you get to a point where you feel like you can't do both, you're going to have to take that leap of faith and you're going to have to go in the new direction with the work that you're going to be doing. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Keep pushing through. It definitely looks like there's something new on the horizon. Good luck. All right, so we have, next up, we have got, let's see, Omar, Alana, and then Lula. You're very welcome. All right, Omar says, hey Candace, I just want to know what advice my HG angel has for the next month. Libra ascendant, Sag sun, Taurus moon. Let's take a look. So many Libra risings in the chat tonight, huh? So what does Omar need to know? All right, in this order, so we've got the Emperor, the King of Pentacles, and the Magician card coming up. Wow, wow, wow. Interesting. So this can be both a combination of like the energies that you're channeling, like the archetypes maybe that you're embodying right now, or that you're kind of marinating on, or you're trying to kind of project, you know, out into the world. I love the Emperor because the Emperor is talking about like divine masculine energy. This is talking about you taking the reins, taking charge, being bold, right? Being assertive, and also like having a vision. It's interesting that this is happening right around the same time that Saturn is going into Aries. We're actually going to see Saturn going into Aries in like the next week or so. So that makes me feel like as a Libra rising, I'd be paying attention to the Saturn transit in your 7th house, that this is a big turning point when it comes to your relationships with other people. It can be with a romantic partner. It can be with a business partner. It can also be with clients. It can just be about showing up and being supportive of other people, and also having better boundaries in relationships. So there is like this energy that you're channeling where you're like, I am showing up, I'm maturing, I'm taking this seriously. It can also mean that you've got like you've got somebody with you who's like working with fire. So this is the element of fire. Obviously it's associated with Aries and Mars. It can also mean that there has been a significant shift in who's kind of working with you, because they're trying to encourage you to see the power and the capabilities within yourself. They're trying to get you to recognize and realize that yes, you have support around you, but like a lot of what ends up unfolding is ultimately dependent on you. So maybe there can be this feeling of, okay, there's something going on with my spirit team where I'm feeling like this is a lot of like hard work and there's a lot more responsibility on me than usual, or I'm not really feeling connected, but that's because you're being in a way like pushed to this new level of like maturity and self-awareness. In the current position right now, you get the King of Coins. So obviously, you know, maybe this is playing off of your Taurus moon a little bit, where there's lots of financial stuff that's been coming up, obviously through Taurus season in your 8th house. But this can also mean that you're firmly rooted right now. Like this is about being solid, being grounded, being practical. Lots of things are irons in the fire pertaining to prioritizing your health, your time, your resources, like money, as well as your career. And it can also be a turning point where it's saying that, you know, there is prosperity that's coming your way, or there are going to be resources coming your way, and you're going to be very conscious of what you do with it, how you're investing it, how you're spending that time. This is also, I think, a card that really talks to being business savvy, and I think being like a little bit more conservative maybe with where you're kind of spending your time or your energy, because you're recognizing that you want to do more. You want to have more security and stability. It's not just about having money and cars and toys and stuff. This is like, you're like, okay, I look at the money that's coming into the resources that I have as something that's going to give me the necessary support so I can go and do the things that I want to do. That comes up with the Magician card. So whenever I see the Magician card, I'm always quick to kind of let people know you're going through a period of time where there's a huge focus on your willpower. There's a huge focus also on manifestation. So this kind of paired with the King of Pentacles makes me feel like there is abundance manifestations that's coming through. There is focus on, okay, how can I bring in more security? How can I turn a little bit into a lot? And this is also about your skills. This is also about magnification of your desires. And so, you know, maybe you're going through a period where, you know, you're doubting something, and then boom, there's a sign that comes in from the universe or from one of your guides, you know, and then you're like, okay, I know that I'm on the right track, or I'm seeing it and I recognize and I realize that my thoughts are having an impact on my reality and I'm manifesting things. So a lot of this is reminding you that like they're there, even though you're in the driver's seat, you're in control, you're a lot more solid and secure than you give yourself credit for, and that you're about to kind of emerge, I think, especially over the next couple of months between now and like September, with a new frame of mind and also new financial or business opportunities. And a lot of it's going to be because of ultimately what you build. Maybe lean a little bit on the Emperor card. Think about who this particular either, you know, angel or deity or even partnership, somebody who's coming in that's supporting you through this process. And a lot of it's about holding you accountable and making sure that, you know, you're continuing to kind of stay on the path and really feeling, you know, like you can. I think especially as a Taurus moon, if you got that Taurus moon in the 8th house, it's like there's always going to be lots of intense emotions about security and stability. But with Uranus leaving, I think you're going to see you're a lot more sound and secure than you give yourself credit for. Good luck. Thank you, Poor. I just saw your message. I appreciate you watching the videos and the support. All right, so who else do we have here? We have Alana, Lula, and Alyssa. What's up, Alana? And if you guys want to get a reading, you can scan the QR code up there and get in the queue. Alana says, I'm asking the same question I feel like I always ask, but I have not been having any luck on the dating apps and would really like to meet my person or at least some fun people while I wait. I'm also trying to make new friends and I've made a few, but I feel pretty lonely. I like Denver, but I miss my friends in Portland. When will my luck and love in my love life start to turn around? All right, well, let's take a look. So what can we tell Alana about her love life now that she has moved and she's in a new place? What does this look like for her? Well, ask and you shall receive. Knight of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, and the World card. Well, obviously, if you're asking about whether or not you're going to meet somebody, and I see a knight show up, knights are dedicated to their cause. They're on horses, which means they're on their way. So it's somebody who is kind of either on their way to you or somebody that you're going to be kind of connecting with soon. Timing wise, I would say usually knights show up around like their birthdays. So it can be sometime closer to August or September when we get into Virgo season, because this can represent a Virgo, a Taurus, or a Capricorn. Usually this is like the sign Taurus or Virgo traditionally. Usually the King of Pentacles is Capricorn. So watch for one of those signs. This can also be talking about you personally, being a Virgo rising. That you're kind of approaching, you know, dating or kind of meeting people and getting to know people in a little bit more of like a cautious, slow and steady way. And I like this card because it means that unlike some of the other knights who just kind of rush in and rush out, you're waiting for something that's like a quality connection or somebody who's going to stick around or somebody who's worth investing time or energy into. So it could ultimately become a relationship. So this is positive. You know, really what I think is this is going to be somebody who's like practical, they're reliable, somebody who is also going to be a little bit maybe more of like a slow burn. It's not necessarily like a quick passionate connection. It's somebody that you're going to take time to kind of get to know and like evaluate and decide whether or not you guys are on the same kind of wavelength. But it's somebody who will keep coming back, okay? So watch for that. Sometimes they can have darker features, darker hair. And then you get the Two of Pentacles. So the Two of Pentacles can really talk about, you know, being in a situation where, you know, you're weighing your options. Can talk about a time period of about 2 months, but it can also mean that somebody comes in and you're like, I don't know, do I like him? Do I not like him? It can also represent a bit of a back and forth that you're doing in regards to you and another person. So, you know, if there is any entanglement from somebody from the past, if you're still getting over, you know, the person that you split with in recent months, if you're still going back and forth with somebody from the past, maybe you're questioning whether or not, you know, you're like, should I have moved here? Should I be giving this new person a chance? Am I ever going to meet anybody? This is about not wavering, because if you do the back and forth with the Two of Pentacles, it can feel like you're balancing too much. Like literally for love, it says, you know, it's a balancing act. So, you know, are you giving other people a chance? Are you open to meeting more than one person? Have you kind of let the past go? These are some things that I would be really focused on because this is in the current position card. And then the World card comes up as your final card, which is a positive card. This is a yes, all right? So this is a yes, maybe yes. And when this card comes up for me, really this means that there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel. You are going to be rewarded. You are going to get what it is that you're looking for. You're going to see that you're going to have exactly what you want. Technically, you know, Saturn's going to still spend quite some time in your 7th house because you have 29 degrees rising. So it'll still be there for about 2.5 years. But from the whole sign perspective, Saturn and Neptune are going into your 8th house, which is about self-reflection, you know, healing, and also like really being alone with yourself and thinking about, okay, what do I need to change in order to have deeper connection, intimacy, security? What you'll see in the fall is it's going to retrograde back into your 7th house where there's going to be eclipses. And so I'm very confident that with that retrograde back into your 7th house, I'm very confident also with, you know, the North Node still going through Pisces, that there's going to be a relationship that's going to come through. And most likely you will see through changes either at work or through your social connections, you'll end up meeting somebody, especially in September. I say that also because the World card is basically saying that when we have major cycles of completion, so like the eclipses, that's when you're going to see like the biggest kind of things shifting. And this is also about harmony and fulfillment and getting what it is that you want. So I don't know what the loose ends are that need to be tied up here. I don't know if it's just that you're doubting yourself or you're questioning whether or not, you're going to be able to meet somebody that you like again. If this is you kind of going back and forth, like give people a chance, even if it's a slow burn. Don't feel like you need to rush anything. Obviously, Saturn is very slow. So Saturn, when it goes through your 7th house, can be this feeling of you going, okay, I've been limited for so long, or I've been alone for so long. When am I going to find somebody? And there's longing. But if you're not paying attention to the lack with Saturn being there and you're really integrating into the self, you're actually going to find that it's going to be a lot easier to navigate. Go and look at transits that are happening also to your natal Jupiter. That's going to give you a little bit more insight, but I'm pretty confident as you get to the fall, when you see these eclipses and the trines between Jupiter and Saturn, there's going to be a turning point. And the North Node in the eclipses in your 7th house is really great for meeting partners of destiny. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Keep your eye out for that Earth night and see if he pops up. All right, so let's see, who else do we have? We have Lula, Alyssa, and then Rachel. And it's not too late if you guys want to get a reading before we call last call. Definitely get in there and scan the QR code. Thank you. We added you to the list. Here we go. So we have got for Lula, says 3-card tarot, please. Why has he changed after our outing? Backstory, I'm starting to get to know this Virgo man that I work with. After our first outing, he distanced himself and changed. I'm a Taurus rising with a Cancer sun and moon. Thanks in advance. All right, well, let's take a look. Certainly it sounds like some of like the full moon Scorpio stuff happening in your 7th house recently. And like now there's some oppositions that have been happening and the sun is approaching Uranus. So it can kind of represent you going like, whoa, what happened in terms of this connection with this other person? So let's ask the cards, what happened with the Virgo man after the first date? What took place here? What has changed? 3 of Wands, 7 of Cups, and the 7 of Swords. These are 2 cards I never want to see together in a dating spread or in a romance spread. So I'm gonna try to be honest with you, but not looking so hot. So 3 of Wands. I feel like for that to come up in the past position, it means that he was like game on. He was like, you know what? She's interested in me. I'm interested in her. Let's see what happens. Let's go out and kind of connect and see where things go. There's no real plan. There's no real, I think focus in terms of like the end goal. Like, I don't think he was going into it being like, I want her to be my girlfriend. I think he was like, why not? This will be fun. I also feel like this can be about growth and also foresight and looking ahead. So when you think about the 3 of Wands, right? Unlike the 2 of Wands where he's figuring out where he wants to go, the 3 is like, nope, I've committed. I'm already in it. Let's kind of see where this adventure lies. So he was going into it with an open mind and I think a genuine interest, although Wands can definitely deal more with like a sexual interest or kind of feeling like attracted to you, but there is like a sense of detachment because it still wants to wander, it's the element of fire. Then we have the 7 of Cups. So the 7 of Cups is about options, choices, sometimes feeling overwhelmed. It can also be about being disillusioned. When this card comes up in the current position, especially for love, it says that this deals with illusion of choices. Well, obviously you see, he's kind of looking at all the different cups and there's all these different kind of scenarios. There may have been a sense of him going out with you and also entertaining or kind of connecting or communicating with other people because multitude of options and choices comes with the 7 of Cups. Maybe he was going and kind of getting a feel for who you are, when you guys are in a private, more intimate setting and getting to know you. I also feel like, he's a bit distracted. This for me, in a relationship or in a love spread, it's like somebody who's like, I either don't know what I want or, I'm coming into a date with you and I'm projecting that I'm interested, but there's other things that are kind of distracting me. There's other things that I'm kind of, or other people that I'm interacting with. Obviously, no queens came up or pages came up. So it's not saying he's in a relationship or he's actively pursuing somebody. But I don't think he knows what he wants. I think he went into it thinking like, we'll see how it goes. And he's not entirely sure of what he wants. And maybe there is this feeling of him having a difficult time reading you, or not really entirely sure, you know, whether or not you guys are on the same page in terms of the impression that he got from you versus what he ultimately wants. And he may have come away with it being like, oh, I'm confused, I don't want to send mixed messages, but he already did. Final card that you get is the Seven of Swords. So what I don't like about this card is that this definitely talks about sometimes people not being honest. Sometimes it can talk about people who are not necessarily being loyal. This can also be talking about being in a connection with somebody who is, you know, not just sending mixed signals, but like leading you on, right? Or not being completely forthcoming about where their head's at. This being the final card makes me feel like, you know, if he's saying to you like, no, we're cool, everything's fine, like, you know, I'll catch you soon, or, you know, we'll get together sometime. I don't know how much of that I believe. I feel like the Seven of Swords is about him maybe projecting a version of himself that, you know, he wants you to believe, but there is a sense of him looking back. And so I see this as him being like, okay, I know she's there. That's an opportunity. Like, I can go back. She's interested in me, but what else can I explore? And is this really what I want? Do I want to settle with this? Because he may feel like you're actually looking for a relationship, right? Or he may, you know, he might have been looking for just like a quick casual connection. So he knows that you're kind of on back burner right now. And I would be careful there, because with this card coming up, it means he actually believes that he can kind of come back. So if you're sensing that he's being weird, or he's kind of being distant, or, you know, maybe he's checking in just enough to kind of stay in touch with you, but he's not actually making plans, or he's not, you know, talking to you about, you know, your guys' potential future, or talking to you about his feelings, I would just say be very careful. Don't get entirely too attached to him, because he's going to be a little less than honest about some of his intentions, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say. So let me know what happens. If he makes a comeback, I'll be interested to hear what he does, but keep an eye out for that eye of his, because there's other people that he's entertaining. All right, so we've got Alyssa, and then Rachel and Kayla. All right, so this is for Alyssa. She says, first, one tarot card, first time joining the live. So let's see. You had to have put your question here, I'm going to assume. I didn't add my question in PayPal, adding it now before I forget. I had an interview for a job a month ago, but I have not heard anything. Will I get the job? All right, well, let's take a look. So what can the tarot tell us about this interview that Alyssa went on a month ago? Does it look like she's going to get the job? Interesting card. So the card that I got for you is the Eight of Pentacles. So, you know, for me, this is a yes in theory, right? Especially Pentacles. Eight of Coins is about working hard, you know, really showing your skills, and being somebody who's definitely fit for the job. But this is also about like going and being seen as somebody who is highly sought after because of their skills, because of their work ethic, because of somebody who really applies themselves, because of their consistency. So yes, the answer is yes, you should get that. But I look at the card and I go, well, eights also deal with change and transformation. Eights also deal with other people's money. So there can be circling back, talking to you about negotiating salaries, whether or not what they're willing to offer you, you want. And it also requires some kind of change or work. So I would advise you to actually check back in with them, because, you know, for a career setting, this means that progress can be made if you're putting work in. So I would say following up with them, either going back in for a second meeting, sending them an email, possibly sending them a thank you letter and being like, hey, thanks for the interview. I'm still really interested in the position. It's requiring you to kind of do something to kind of keep that energy consistent and flowing. Look for increments of 8, so it can be around 8 weeks. It can also be the 8th month of the year. In particular, you know, timing for this card is usually around the end of August, going through the 3rd week of September. So timing-wise, it's interesting, because literally within 4 weeks, you know, then we're going to be coming into July. So I'm wondering if you're going to be hearing more in about 4 weeks' time, with the potential to possibly start by the end of the summer. hopefully that's helpful. Keep us updated and let me know what happens. Definitely follow back up with them is what I would advise with that card. All right, so we have Rachel, and then we have Kayla and David. What's up, Rachel? Let's see what Rachel has to say. Rachel says, hi, just a little update. I got a new job. It's seasonal, but hopefully it'll lead to something long-term. The only catch is I accidentally made it more complicated by trying to work it out with my current job, but I don't think it'll work out anymore. My question is, if things will be resolved with my current boss, I want to feel more excited and celebratory, but I'm a little anxious about the situation. Also, it's my birthday today, and I want good vibes for the weekend overall. Well, happy birthday for you, Rachel. I hope it's a good one. I could definitely feel like for you, a lot of this, because you're Virgo rising, a lot of this is going to be the sun's going into your 9th house, which can be about some kind of graduation going into something new. Jupiter's in your 10th. You're going to see a new moon in your 10th. It's about 2 jobs. Sun's going to trine Pluto. So it makes me feel like there needs to be a change or a transformation that's happening in your current job before you move on to the next thing. So yes, there is a change coming. Look for like when you have the new moon, look for when the sun trines Pluto, look for when Mercury trines Pluto. That's going to be the best way for you to make changes to your existing job and schedule to move into the next thing. But let's see, what do the cards say in terms of how you can navigate this and if you can resolve it with your current boss? I love that this card came up for you, 3 of Cups. So it is saying like you can celebrate, right? There can be a reason for you to be like, okay, cool. We can find a way that this works for everybody involved. I like that it's 3 of Cups because it represents the old employer, the new employer, and you. And so 3 of Cups is working harmoniously together, more like finding like emotional, kind of opportunities to support one another, to kind of see, eye to eye. This is about friendship. This is also about support. This is also about group dynamics. And this is also about gathering and celebrating. So it can be playing off of maybe the fact that, hey, it's your birthday. You're like, look, I want to celebrate. I want good vibes. But also like I have a lot to celebrate that I've got like these new things that are happening for me and new people that I'm going to be working with. Make it like a joint effort in some way. So it might mean that maybe you're talking to your boss, but you're also talking to a manager. Maybe you're kind of bringing somebody in on the conversation. Maybe it's about kind of saying like, hey, I want to continue to be in this position. This is something that I want to do. And like, I want to stay here and I want support and I want to find a way to kind of make this work for everybody involved. Ultimately, something you need to think about is that Pluto retrograde in your 6th house is going to be about whether or not you want to stay there. Also, you're going to see some transits that are going to manifest, I think, over the summer where you're going to be kind of debating whether or not the new job that you took is going to give you room to grow. So it might be seasonally now, but down the road, it might actually be something that you might be able to do a little bit more full time. Uranus going in and out of your 10th house as well is definitely going to bring some changes to your schedule and your work. So juggling things, it looks like it's doable for the time being, at least through the summer. I do think you can find a win-win, but I think this is about approaching them with kind of an open heart and being like, look, I want to be here. I want to make this work. Can you help me? And try to do it in a way that can be, kind and also kind of compassionate and being like, how can I make this easier for everybody involved? Because it's about teamwork and kind of support with the 3 of Cups coming up. Hopefully that's helpful, and I hope you get a chance to do something fun and party this weekend for your birthday. Happy birthday. All right, we have got Kayla, and then we have got David. You're welcome. Do that, Alyssa. I would like send them a thank you note and maybe like send them something, like drop off some muffins or something. Hey, thank you so much like for the opportunity, like something to show them that you're reconnecting. All right, so we got Kayla, and then we got David and Annette. And if you guys want to get in the queue, get in the queue. This is for Kayla. What's up, Kayla? Kayla is an Aries sun, Leo moon, Cap rising. She says, I recently developed feelings for my gym instructor. The energy was mutual until I suggested we hang out just as two. She not only bailed on the plans we agreed to, but clearly friend-zoned me, even though we were technically only friends to begin with. Looking for guidance on this situation and hopefully some clarity. I'm so puzzled as the automatic switch up She's a Pisces sun and moon, Virgo rising. Love you bunches. Thanks for all you do. Oh man, Pisces sun and moon. She's got eclipses in her 7th house where people are approaching her, clients and people who want to partner with her, and she's acting confused. All right, let's take a look. I will say as like a Cap rising, you know, Jupiter going in the 7th house is going to be better for you, like relationship wise, but let's see what's up with this Pisces gym instructor. Why was it mutual? What changed? In this order, I get the 2 of Wands, the Ace of Cups, and the 6 of Cups. I mean, I'm wondering, like, you know, there is definitely a connection there, okay? Like, you're not crazy. The Ace of Cups and the 6 of Cups coming up is like, no, this is a little bit more than friendly. But I'm kind of wondering if, you know, maybe with the 2 of Wands coming up, it was put out there that's like, hey, we should get together, we should do something. And then she kind of realized, like, oh, you know, like she's like interested in me. Like there was something, because the Ace of Cups is about some kind of offer you're making or some kind of gesture, or like her recognizing that you're kind of moving in, right? I don't think you're being aggressive, but I think that she kind of picked up on that. 2 of Wands is definitely talking about it being open. So it's kind of like it could go this way or it could go that way. And maybe she was overthinking it. Maybe it was like a sense of her being like, yeah, I can go and hang out with her. Like I could do this. And then the more that she kind of felt into the connection, she was like, this is out of my comfort zone. This is taking a risk. Like, you know, is this something that I'm like comfortable doing? Am I ready to go down that path? Even if she's attracted to you and it's mutual, there can be this sense of her contemplating whether or not she's ready to take that jump. So I don't know if you know if she's attracted to women or not, or like what the deal is, but there's something here that makes me feel like she kind of freaked out a little bit when it came to committing and actually hanging out. And it's whether or not she feels comfortable going down that path and making that commitment in that sense. 2, in the right now card, you get the Ace of Cups. In the future card, you get the 6 of Cups. These are some of the best cards that you can get in relation to, you know, romantic interests and partnerships, especially in the future. So even though she kind of dropped the ball and maybe she was overthinking it, maybe she was just kind of like, oh, I don't want to complicate things, or like, I'm not really sure if I'm like ready to put myself out there. The Ace of Cups makes me feel like the answer still stands, or the offer still stands, I guess I should say. This is also a card that's directly associated with Pisces placements, so sun and moon. Obviously, you know, the Ace of Cups, especially like in a romantic connection, can really kind of talk about like new opportunities, new relationship opportunities, being more open-hearted and accepting moving forward. It can also mean that there could be a potential shift that's going to happen sometime around the end of June into the end of July, or end of October into November. And I see this as like, yeah, like a new beginning, like feeling like, okay, now she's more so ready to kind of put herself out there and be open. Maybe this means you're waiting for her to come back around and be like, hey, let's actually get together, you know, and she lets you know, sorry, I just kind of got psyched out, or there was something going on that made me feel like, you know, I wasn't ready, or I wasn't sure, right? Because I don't think you caught her off guard. I think there was some friendliness and some back and forth happening. And then obviously the next step would be, hey, let's get together. But she dropped the ball somehow. So I don't know if it's just that she doesn't want to mix business and pleasure, or maybe she was contemplating whether or not she's really ready to kind of like, you know, move into dating somebody again, but she hesitated. Ace of Cups means there's going to be a new opportunity that's coming. 6 of Cups is about reconnection, reunion. This is also like the soulmate card. And this is the card that really kind of talks about like her thinking about you, or her, you know, missing you, or like noticing if you're not there consistently, or maybe she notices that you kind of back off a little bit and she's wanting to like reconnect. She said, I honestly started matching her energy and pulled back myself as well. And I can tell she felt that. So, you know, if that's what you're doing, that's fine. I think the Ace of Cups, I would wait for the offer. I would wait for her to be like, actually, let's get together. Let's go to dinner. Let's grab a drink. Like, let's do something. Like, wait for the offer, because likely there's going to be some kind of offer that's going to come. And the 6 of Cups can be talking about the reconnection, the reunion, the softening, the opening up, like being a little bit more vulnerable. And I also feel like when this card comes up, it's about being playful and not taking things so seriously. So even though you're matching her energy, you might find that when things kind of ease up a little bit between the two of you and there's not so much like weirdness, you will kind of feel a little bit more comfortable around each other. There will be opportunities then to be flirting and, you know, to kind of just make her feel a little bit more at ease. And maybe she'll realize that you're not thrown off by her putting up, you know, her walls, because I think that's what happened. I think she put her walls up and she was kind of freaked out because she wasn't really sure if she was really ready to put herself out in that way. But I think likely she will kind of come around, you know, obviously Pisces, sun and moon, that's what they do. So give her a little bit of opportunity. Know that as Jupiter is going into her 11th house this summer, the way that a relationship will grow is through social situations, social settings, parties, get-togethers with friends, or being friends with someone. So part of this is like showing her like, hey, there's nothing you need to worry about. Like, I'm not a threat. Like, I'm not going to hurt you. You know, if you want to hang out, you want to come hang out and do something with me and my friends, or there's something going on, if you want to meet us there, great, be nice to see you. That might be the way to play it, because if you're dealing with a Virgo rising, the way to kind of win them over is to become friends with them first this year. And as you kind of ease your way into that and you really establish some kind of security amongst each other, it can actually blossom into a relationship that can be really beautiful, right? Hopefully that's helpful for you. Hope you get the girl. You know, make her at ease. It doesn't need to be so like uptight. Like, kind of joke around and play with her a little bit, you know. And I think that can actually make her feel a little bit more comfortable and open. Hopefully that's helpful for you. You know, my sun and rising seriousness is my second language. Yes, obviously, especially if you've got that Aries sun and the Cap rising. Good luck. Let me know what happens. All right. So we have got, let's see, we've got David, Annette, Silk, Sasha, Sophia. And we also got the super chat here by Lovna. So I'll get you in there in just a second. I'll do you after David. So we'll do David and then we'll take the super chat. All right, David, what's up? We got a 3-card reading for you. David says, hey Candace, I hope you're doing well. There's a woman I've been seeing around lately. I don't know her nor have spoken to her, but I believe she's expressing interest in indirect ways. I'd like a 3-card reading on her and whether I should reel this one in or keep this fishy in the water. P.S. She's not giving me the Empress vibe you read for me in the fall, but I'm open to being wrong. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what the deal is with this woman, Dave. All right, so what's the deal with this lady? Should he approach her? She's expressing interest. All right, cards you get in this order are the 8 of Swords, the 3 of Cups, and the 10 of Wands. Why does it feel like approaching her is a challenge, or it is kind of like you're looking at it like, oh, that could potentially be like a red flag? You know, there's something about you approaching her or getting involved with her, and you're like, there is like a block, or like this feels like I'm having to like push myself to do it. I don't know what that is. If you're watching, you can expand on that. Let me know. But the first card you get is the 8 of Swords, which means I feel like in many ways this is about you maybe being a little oblivious at first and not realizing or recognizing that maybe there was, or that she was sending signals, right? Or that she was interested in you, or that she was trying to get you to get, you know, her attention, or vice versa. I think that with this card coming up with relationships, this says that there can be a feeling of like longing or being unseen. So, you know, maybe you've been like, at first it kind of, you know, went right over your head, and then something else happened and you were like, is she trying to get my attention? And then you're like, okay, why isn't she being direct with me, right? So there can be this feeling of maybe in the past you've been feeling like you're unapproachable, or maybe it's hard for you to meet people, or you didn't think that you were going to find love, and then somebody pops up and then they're like desperately kind of trying to get your attention, and then you're like, what is this? There is something a little off-putting here. So I don't know what it is, but with the 8 of Swords and the 10 of Wands, it does make me feel like you're like, well, I could do that. I don't know if that's totally like my type, or if I'm really into the way that she's kind of like putting it down. Because they could see the 8 of Swords as somebody who is kind of like acting insecure, or somebody who is like not very confident, or they don't really know how to approach you or be direct with you. And you're just like, what is this? 3 of Cups comes up. So interesting, because this can be a card that's saying keep in mind, okay, that there can be other opportunities for you. Three of Cups is always three's a crowd. So it doesn't necessarily have to be her. It can be somebody who's interested in you and you can talk to her, you can get to know her, but it's not necessarily saying that it has to be like a relationship. In a love setting, this talks about social connections, celebrations, meeting people, going out and about. Maybe you feel like you keep running into her, or like the places that you're going or the places you're frequenting, the friends that you have, like she keeps kind of like showing up and you're like, why is she like always around, you know? And you might just feel like she's just always around when you're going out and doing stuff. But I think that this is really saying that there's another option for you, that you don't have to feel like it has to be her, or that if you are not attracted to her, if there's no interest in her, that you have to settle. No, there's going to be other people that you can meet. There's other people she could meet. I do feel like this is somebody who is friendly. This is somebody who's trying to make friends, or they're out there trying to socialize and kind of connect with new people. And that might be part of why she's being really friendly. But she's not the only option. And then the 10 of Wands is the final card that you get, which for me is kind of like you looking at this going like, this is going to be a lot of work, or this is going to be a challenge, or she's a handful, or, you know, maybe it feels like too challenging, you know, trying to kind of like find things in common, or maybe it might feel a little bit more difficult, or she might be somebody who has high expectations or be kind of demanding. Not the best card, obviously, to be pulling in like a love spread. It could mean that you might feel like, okay, I'll be nice, I'll be friendly, but like if she's making me work too hard, or if I'm just not feeling the connection, like you're not forcing it. Like you're not feeling like you have to kind of like pursue her. She's not the end all be all, especially with that 3 of Cups coming up. For this card, this can also mean that you feel like, you know, there is some kind of stress or challenge when it comes to connecting with her. Sometimes this is a card that talks about burdens, responsibility, duty, or like struggling. So you might feel like, okay, you know, she's interacting with me, she's acting like she's interested, but I try to talk to her and it just feels like it's just a nightmare getting to know this person, or it's challenging, you know, kind of like communicating with her, or finding, you know, common ground. Don't push it, basically, is what I would say. You know, watch for the insecurities that can come up in the way that she's approaching you, and she might feel like she's waiting for you to make the first move, or she's expecting you to do something. But if you're not interested, you don't have to do that. You can literally let it be and just kind of be friendly in social dynamics and know that somebody else likely is going to pop in. And also, she'll meet somebody else too with the 3 of Cups. Both of you will. But that means that, you know, if you kind of see her, it's like, hey, hi, you know, and then you wait for her to kind of glob on to somebody else. But if you're feeling like this is not a match, then don't pursue it. Good luck, Dave. Let me know what happens. What is the challenge with that one? There is definitely a challenge there. All right, so I'm going to take the super chat for Levna. Thank you. They say Gemini Sun, Virgo Rising, Aquarius Moon. All right. So you have an Aries partner. He recently delayed our wedding to unresolved traumas. He wants to heal beforehand so it doesn't affect our marriage as it has our relationship. What should I do next? What comes next and what should I do? Well, it sounds like Saturn North Node in your 7th stuff. You know, the retrogrades that have happened recently, the eclipses, the last 2 or 3 months has been real. And weddings is more connected to your 9th house, which is going to deal with Taurus. So Uranus is in and out of there, so that could mean there's some changes with potential wedding plans. But Saturn and Neptune in the 7th is about getting serious with healing any unresolved emotional, psychological, addiction even issues, depression issues. So it's not surprising that that's happening. So let's take a look and let's see what the cards say for you. What's next? How you navigate this? Card that you get is the 3 of Wands, the Devil, and the Ace of Cups. Well, that's quite a mix. You know, I think about like Saturn and Neptune going into a Virgo rising's 8th house, and it's about being alone with yourself, processing trauma, whether or not you feel secure emotionally, you know, in terms of an intimate relationship or even financially. And it can definitely be a transit that's marked with a feeling of grief or having to let someone or something go. Right? So with the 3 of Wands coming up makes me feel like you're like, I'm open to it, like whatever you have to do, whatever you have to figure out. But also on the other side of this, it could mean that there is some stuff that's going on where you're like, okay, even though this can be him making progress or us, you know, having a period where we can kind of grow and learn from this experience, this is also a card of wandering, right? And so I'm not trying to like get into your personal life, but I would be like, okay, I'm going to go and let you do this, but what does that mean? Because if you need to grieve or if you need to heal or whatever you got going on, what are the parameters of that? Especially with Saturn and Neptune going into your 8th house, like Neptune can represent like your intimate connection with another person. Saturn can represent dating and things pertaining to other romantic partners. I would be like, let's define this. You know, if you need to go and work on stuff so it's not, you know, impacting the relationship, great, you got to do what you got to do. But what does this mean? Do you guys talk about going to therapy? Do you set a time limit on how long you're willing to wait for him to kind of come back around, right? So you might be working with increments of 3. It might be a couple of months. It could also mean that this is giving you the opportunity to do some soul searching and really ask yourself, is this something that you want to continue? Like if this person, you know, really needs to completely step away from the relationship in order to go and heal something, do you want to wait? Traveling can be really helpful. Journaling can be really helpful. Therapy can be really helpful during these transits as well. The problem is like the Devil card is coming up in the current position. And the Devil card is not a pleasant card. This is also the card that deals with Saturn. You know, so I think that this can be really symbolic of Saturn ruling your 5th house, of whether or not, you know, it's going to cause some heartbreak. It can mean whether or not you're questioning if you are really feeling like in love with this person or vice versa. There could be some inner child issues that can be coming up. But in a nutshell, you know, the Devil card does talk about temptation and lust, especially in relationships. It can mean that, you know, there's something going on where you're questioning whether or not he can break the cycle or if he can break the pattern. Sometimes it's addiction. Sometimes it can be talking about obsession. Sometimes it talks about excess. This can also be talking about knowing your limitations or him learning his limitations. So literally the short meaning here, it says temptation and materialism. You may be caught in a situation that is causing you to feel trapped or feel powerless. So Saturn and Neptune will go in and out of your 7th house. It's in the 8th house for the next couple of months, but it'll come back. So the real kind of turning point in a relationship for Virgo rising is going to be September of 2025. It's going to be February, March of 2026 when you have a Mercury retrograde there. I'm wondering, like, what demons is he dealing with? You know, so I definitely feel like, yes, he needs to heal something, but there can also be him being trapped in a habitual cycle. And it could be psychologically, it could be obsession, it could be addiction, you know, it could be like sexual issues, like, I don't know, but there's something there that's going on that, yes, it does need to be dealt with before he decides to commit to a relationship, but just having the freedom to be like, I'm going to go and do my thing. You know, if you guys do take space, like take caution with that. Like there needs to be some kind of container boundary revolving around what that means. Otherwise you need to be like, I need my space. Then the final card that you get is the Ace of Cups, which can be good for the future. It can say, well, there is an opportunity for renewal in a relationship, that you're starting a new chapter, that you can go into the relationship, you know, feeling like there's been a cleansing, and that you can enter the marriage feeling like he's totally there, he's healed, and he's committed. Like there's no lack of love here. I don't think. I think it's about him recognizing and realizing that he can't really be the partner that he wants to be while he's kind of fighting off some of the demons that he's fighting off, and that it has the potential to completely wreck the marriage before the marriage even begins. She says he has issues, definitely addiction and ego-driven habits. So yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, the Ace of Cups is a beneficial card. It's very positive. It does mean that there is an opportunity for you guys to kind of have some healing, to let love in. And also it does talk about, like, you know, really listening to your intuition when it comes to your relationship with this person. I think intuitively, you know, you might want to learn a little bit more about their chart and kind of see what they've got going on. Just knowing that, you know, they're, I think you said they're in Aries, like there's got to be more. You're going to want to go and look at their rising sign. You're going to want to look at their 7th house ruler, because you can see how things are impacting you. But the last 2 months of Aries solar eclipses, Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, changing their mind in regards to relationship, check. You know, realizing there are some things they need to fix, check. You know, some new starts for themselves, check. I mean, that all kind of comes up. But you're going to want to look at their chart too. And I would say this to anybody, before getting married, you know, go and look at your synastry, talk to an astrologer, somebody who can look at the 2 charts together and tell you realistically if it's a good match. I think it's worth the investment before you get married to somebody, because he's got some stuff that's still hidden. Like the Devil card talks about things that maybe in his mind he was like, I need to go and work this out. And I think it was a lot of him going, I need to get this out of my system, or I need to process this, or I need to kind of like continue to do this before I fully commit to getting married. And I'd be like, no. going through therapy, doing it together, you know, being transparent and working through it together, I think is a good idea. But it's important that he's honest with you and also with himself about where he's struggling, because if he can do that, you're going to be able to trust him throughout the process. And I think it can actually help save the relationship. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Good luck with that. Difficult stuff for sure. We've got Annette, and then we've got Silk, Sasha, and Sophia. We're going to call last call. So if you guys want to get your readings in. All right, so let's see what Annette has to say. Annette says, reading, job. I moved to Arizona for work. It seems crazy right now. Any insight? And a super hot guy, probably too young, in my apartment building keeps trying to get my attention, always walking by outside when I'm on the second floor. Does a peace sign. He's so cute. Do you need her birth date and time for tarot? If so, I'm 12/12/66. All right, so you're a Sag. You got Jupiter, 7th house to your sun, right? Jupiter is your chart ruler if you're a Sag sun. I don't know your rising sign. And Gemini is the hands, right? And Jupiter is about peace. So he's like, hey, he's trying to get your attention. So let's see about moving to Arizona. Like, is it a good idea? You know, are you where you're supposed to be? And what's up with this hot guy? All right, so we've got Page of Swords, we have got the High Priestess, we've got the Nine of Swords. First things first, these cards are a little chaotic because you've got on one hand making decisions, making moves, taking action, you know, and then on the other hand, you're like, oh my God, was this the right thing to do? And like swords are always a difficult kind of, I think, house to deal with, because it's going to like symbolize where there is so much static mentally and like you're feeling like you're being kind of thrown around like you're in a washing machine. A lot of Sagittarius have been moving the last couple of months because of Saturn going through the 4th house with Neptune because of retrogrades and eclipses being there. So it does feel like you're kind of discombobulated and not really sure if where you're living, if you're going to stay there, or if you're just kind of in flux. So right now, I feel like with the Page of Swords coming up, it is kind of saying it's about kind of getting grounded when it comes to the mindset. It's like, okay, this could be a forever thing. This could be a temporary thing. It's one day at a time. It's also about encouraging you to expand and communicate and connect with people in your community. So this can be about, you know, meeting other air signs, Libras, Aquariuses, or Geminis. This can also mean that there is some kind of information or news or insight that's kind of coming to you, right? And it can be intuitively, not just people who you're kind of meeting locally or you're in your apartment complex. This is about being curious. This is about being witty. This is also about, I think, being more open when it comes to making change. And when pages show up, it can be about younger people. So this can represent like the younger person that you're kind of talking about in your apartment building. And the High Priestess card coming up in the center position is completely in control. So she's a major arcana. Being in the center position means that you're going through a period where it's hard for you to really see into the future, but you're doing everything that you can to stay kind of in tune to what your gut is telling you. So in a relationship sense, this can be saying like, you know, you're kind of trying to stay mysterious. You're trying to kind of feel it out. You're not trying to be too like predictable, or you're trying to kind of keep your space until you feel like it's a good idea to engage. Equally, it can mean that you're really working on your intuition right now. Maybe there is like a sense of you needing more tranquility, or you're really focusing more on your unconscious kind of mind. And you're like, if something doesn't feel like it's a good idea, I'm not going to do it. Or if it's time for me to communicate, or if I realize that I'm only supposed to be here for a period of time and move, so be it. Until you quiet the mind and you're able to kind of sit down and settle, it's only then that you receive some of these messages. You may feel like you're also like, this guy's trouble, he's cute, but you're like, this is going to cause me some challenges in the long run, Nine of Swords. I would say don't go to worst case scenario. I feel like with the Page of Swords coming up and the Nine of Swords is like very quickly your mind going like, well, what if I, you know, don't like my job here, you know, and I have to move? Or what if it's a situation where I get involved with my neighbor and then it ends up messy? Like, do not go to worst case scenario. Believe it or not, actually the transits that you're going to have over the next couple of months are pretty good. Saturn and Neptune going into Aries, I think for Sagittarius might indicate dating a younger person, but also new hobbies, having fun, you know, learning how to enjoy, you know, new things that you can go and do actively on your own, new creative opportunities as well. And also you're going to see Jupiter finish up in your relationship house, and then Uranus is going to open up into your 7th house, and Uranus rules your neighbors. So it can mean that there is like a little bit of like a back and forth maybe that you're doing with younger people. This probably won't be the first one that's going to come in. This is just one of the first that's connected to some of your transits. Anyway, 9 of Swords is about fear. It's about anxiety. This can also be about you feeling like you're a little isolated, or that you're kind of in a space where you're like, is it all going to work out? What's going to happen, right? Focus more on reeling it in a little bit, one day at a time. You don't have to have everything planned. You're a Sag, so you can kind of fly by the seat of your pants a little bit more than other signs. Don't think it's a bad idea to interact with the guy, but also I would feel like if you're feeling like it's not the right time, or maybe you're feeling like you're not ready, don't make any moves until your gut is telling you it's a good idea. And likely a lot of Sag or Sag risings are going to have more clarity about their living situation as you're kind of getting into the fall of this year when you start having eclipses. So who knows? I don't know where you're from, but Arizona might actually kind of grow on you. It's obviously very different than New York where you were born, but it can definitely be a place where I feel like it can be really positive, especially for like your intuition and feeling like you have time to kind of hit reset and maybe live a little bit of like a slower lifestyle, even if you're like working and socializing. And it might be good for you and your mental health. Good luck. All right, we got Silk. What's up, Silk? Silk says, I have been getting more optimistic about love and relationships, and I wanted to ask, will there be a significant sign that I will see or witness that could let me know I met the one right now? All right, well, that's a cool question. So let's see, can the tarot give us any signs or symbols or anything significant that Silk should be watching for to know when she's met the right one? This one. You get the 7 of Coins, which is not the most romantic card, but like bear with me. When this card comes up for me, I think that this is about growth and development in relationships. Okay, so it can mean watching to see if somebody's willing to do the heavy lifting, the hard work. If somebody is willing to ensure that they're showing you that they are in it for the long run, right? So literally, this can mean you're at a grocery store, you're picking fruit or produce, and somebody comes over and they start talking to you, like what is being grown, what's being developed. You're somewhere where you're outside, there's flowers, there's a garden or something, and you're walking around, and then all of a sudden you start talking to somebody. This is also going to be about somebody who really takes their time and they really see the benefit in investing and taking their time and showing you that your time is valuable, that they feel like you are somebody who's worth spending time with and worth working on. And it's also going to be about progress. This is a card of patience as well as planning. So it can mean that you're in the process of planning something. Maybe you're, planning something on your phone, or you're, working on something, you're, booking a trip, and then, you look up and you start talking to somebody and they're like, hey, somebody who interrupts your planning, or somebody who interrupts something that you're actually working on, or it might be somebody that you encounter or comes into your workspace, or somebody that you kind of connect to while you're working or bettering yourself. Sometimes this can also be connected to like a doctor's office, a gym, somewhere where you're getting work done. And something that you're going to be like feeling like maybe you're encountering somebody when they're looking at something that they have made. So, it's a painting that they have painted. Maybe it's a garden that they have grown. They're admiring what they're working on and what they're growing. And you're going to be like, wow, look at them in their element. Like, that's amazing to see them, like so focused on something that they're paying so much attention to and something that they're nurturing. And like, that will be your sign. Obviously, what comes up with this is Taurus. It's also very much connected to Saturn. It can also be connected to the number 7. So like the 7th day of the month, it could be the 7th month. And this is also kind of connected to anything associated with like the earth elements. So watch for like earth signs to be coming in. And somebody who I think is just like, you're either in awe of something they have created, or they're coming in and they're helping you build or work on something. And you're going to go, wow, this is amazing to be able to have like support and to have help. And you're going to go, what? There's my sign. Somebody who's taking the time to kind of help build you up. Let me know how that plays out for you, Silk. I'm sure somebody is going to pop in for you soon, especially with some of your transits. We've got Sasha and then Sophia. What's up, Sasha? Sasha says, how does my long distance crush feel about me? Like, did I ever stand out to him? He used to be my tutor, but discontinued because I assumed he was too good to be true. I also suspected he was talking to someone else, but felt flirty vibes, so I don't know what's in my head and what's real. Pisces rising, Pisces sun. He's a Scorpio. You're welcome. All right, so how does Sasha's long distance crush feel about her? Did she stand out because they have discontinued working together, but she's not sure if he was talking to somebody else? Scorpio men can be very difficult. Not my favorite personally, but that's because I'm a Scorpio. There's only room for one dysfunctional person in a relationship. All right, so we've got Page of Pentacles, we've got Three of Cups, we've got Seven of Wands. I can't tell if this is like, I mean, the tarot kind of like literally mirroring what you were saying or like what's happening. Probably a combination of the both. Page of Pentacles means that you were a student, right? So your guys' relationship was transactional. It was something that was based on business. It was something also that was supposed to be, you know, just like a connection that you have either every week or every so often. However, the page for me feels like somebody who is beautiful, attractive, intelligent, especially in the sign of Earth. And that he saw that you have some kind of value. He might have saw that you have some kind of talent also, or he saw something in you that was like, yeah, this is somebody who, you know, obviously is like worth working with or spending time with. So did you leave a mark? Yeah, I think so. But he might have also looked at it as, well, she's a client, or, you know, she's really young, you know, or there's something that was kind of keeping you from being able to like totally come together in like a physical way too. So there could have been some challenges or some stunts in the physicality of it. Three of Cups, I think it is fair to say that there was probably another person that he was involved with or somebody he was seeing or dating. Three of Cups, like I said, it does represent like a third party kind of coming in. It can also mean that, you know, like in a work sense, it's like, okay, we're a team. Like this is a team effort. Like we're working together, you know? So he might be overjoyed with talking to you, being your tutor, interacting with you. It could have been a little flirty, but it was also like possibly there was another person that kind of he had that he was dating in his real life that he was involved with. I also feel like this means that, you know, there's been some stuff that's been going on where maybe he has realized and recognized that through kind of meeting and interacting with people, what it is that he does want. Doesn't mean that he doesn't want you or that you weren't attractive or you didn't bring anything to the table, but he might have met somebody else that he became heavily involved with and kind of started seeing. And then you started kind of noticing, okay, there is like a sense of him not like paying as much attention to me or feeling like as focused on me. Seven of Wands comes up. So a challenge, something to overcome. This can also be feeling like you're having to kind of, you know, stand your ground, or maybe feeling like a little protective over him, or maybe feeling like, you know, you're wanting to stick up for yourself, or you're wanting to kind of make your mark or like be remembered. It's like, don't forget me, like I'm important too, you know? That card can also be an indication in like a love connection that there is like a sense of you being courageous and putting yourself out there and like, you know, like either making it very obvious that you're interested or telling him. But also there can be like a sense of there being eventually some kind of standoff, and then there being some distance, and somebody who is actually, you know, kind of taking the upper hand in the situation and being like, yeah, I'm gonna take a step back because this is not a connection. It's not meant to be negative. It's more meant to be that, you know, somebody might be coming on a little strong and the other person can be like, okay, I think we're good here. We're done, you know, and then you kind of feeling like, well, wait, like we have this connection. Like, don't you want to stay connected to me? So I do think that he found you intelligent. I think he found you attractive, but I also feel like there was another person, and there is like this sense of you being like, well, you know, I'm still here, or I'm still interested. Like, you know, I still want to make sure that I'm kind of like sticking out, or that there is like a way that he can connect with me, or that he's still thinking about me. And I think that you do stick out. I don't think that you're somebody who's going to be forgettable, but I think he may be in the process of kind of seeing or dating another person. And I'm wondering if you're kind of holding yourself back or keeping yourself from like reaching out to him or trying to reconnect with him, because sometimes the Seven of Wands is like, no, I'm going to stand my ground until there is going to be like, you know, until he's going to kind of reach across and make the connection or reach out to me. So there can be a sense of you kind of playing the long game and waiting to see if you hear anything from him. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Oh my goodness. I've been following that story for a while, so that's why you... Pretty much what I suspected. I was going to reach back out, but I'm thinking no. I don't think you will yet, personally. I don't think you will yet. You might in the future. All right, so we have got Sophia. What's up, Sophia? Sophia says, I'm a Libra rising, Cancer sun, Scorpio moon. The past few months, weeks have sucked regarding intimacy and romance. Yeah, girl, has not been fun for Libra risings. I waited patiently for someone I had feelings for, and he ended up choosing to date someone else and told me last week, right before the full moon. Can I get a forecast of what's next, what this next season will bring me? I'm leaning into hobbies and creativity, but I would love to gain a little insight into whether love and passion in romantic relationships can be coming up again. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see. All right, so first things first, there's so many like Libra risings that have been in here. Guys, Saturn's going into your 7th house, right? Which means you're feeling a sense of distance, longing, or separation. If you're in a relationship and if you're single, it's going to represent a time where you're like, I need to spend more time by myself, or I'm feeling a boundary or rejection from somebody, okay? That's the way the transit goes, especially after the eclipses and the retrogrades. So let's see for Sophia what is going to come up now that she's leaning into new things, what the next season is going to be for her. Is there romance or passion or relationships coming? Magician, 10 of Cups, and the 7 of Pentacles. I mean, I think that, and I think I would say this to any Libra rising, but I mean, it's coming up in your cards. Where attention goes, like energy flows. Okay, so the Magician card is kind of saying you're in a period right now where things are changing, things are transforming, you're focusing on what you're manifesting, and you have everything kind of at your convenience. So, you know, when the Magician card comes up, it's saying you're working on new opportunities when it comes to career, when it comes to finances or health, when it comes to relationships, and also when it comes to creativity. So everything is kind of like changing right now. Everything is kind of fluid. This is a card in a relationship sense. What does it say? That can be about communication and attraction. So I could see this as like you're thinking more about maybe the kind of people that you bring in. You know, Saturn and Neptune on your descendant can mean you're bringing in people who are deceptive, or they're not telling you everything, or they're not being clear about things, or they're kind of confused, or they don't know what they want. So I think this is about you taking a step back, being like, I'm getting clarity about what I want, what I'm investing my time and my energy into, and like I'm going to be less consumed with other people's kind of confusion or people who pull tricks, right? The Magician. 10 of Cups is a great card. So I think it can correlate on one hand to your 10th house as a Libra rising. You know, Jupiter's going to go through there. It's going to be big for your career. This can also be talking about like, you know, Mars and Pisces things. So your 6th house is about physical activity, wellness, habits, routines, making changes also maybe to your health or your routine, maybe even to your work, right? And like finding ways to pour energy into your own cup, because there can be so much with Saturn and Neptune right now in leaving your 6th house and going into the 7th where you're giving too much to other people. So it's about kind of scaling back and going, what am I doing for me? What's gonna make me happy? This is a card of fulfillment, joy, celebration. This is my happily ever after card. This can also be an indication that there is something positive coming that's going to lead to some kind of relationship bliss. How does it get here? 7 of Coins. So hard work, determination, focus, where you're going to be planting seeds and really reassessing whether or not you want to be investing time and energy into select people. Be selective, okay? Saturn and Neptune going into your 7th means that over the next 2.5 years, there's going to be some hard knock lessons in relationships, but Saturn rules your 4th. So it can mean that you end up meeting somebody who you move in with. It might mean that, you know, you end up relocating and then you meet someone. It could also mean that you decide that you're going to get out of the house and you're going to make a commitment to just, you know, going and socializing and being with others. Your 7th house can be about a therapist. It can be an astrologer. It can be some kind of partnership of some kind. But also Aries is you. Regardless of where it is in the chart, it's you. So for Libra rising, it's the relationship you have to yourself. The more that you better the relationship, the more you invest in yourself, your hobbies, your health, your focus, the more that you're going to see that your vibration is kind of shifting, and the kind of people that you're bringing in is going to be different. And I think you're going to be bringing in higher quality people and people who are less confused and a little less tolerant of people who are going to be kind of in and out. And the more that you're patient and you're willing to kind of wait for the right thing to come in, the better it's going to be for you, I think, in the long run. Watch for opportunities, maybe, you know, Tauruses, Pisces, these types of people might start kind of popping in. That might be some kind of romantic relationship or connection. And definitely look at what's going on with your natal Mars, because Mars rules your 7th house. So look at the aspects that are being made from outer planets to Mars to get a little bit more insight as to whether or not the Saturn and Neptune transit is going to be easy and beneficial for you in the long run, or if it's going to be challenging. And it'll be in and out of that sign really between now and the beginning of next year. Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, so let's see if I missed anybody. I want to make sure we got everyone. Catch up with the chat. So helpful. The man was confused. Repetitively told me that Saturn in the 7th, they were rising 29 degrees too. So you don't even really have Saturn or Neptune in that house yet. Most of it's actually going to be going through your 6th. So actually the eclipses are still going to be in your 5th house in Pisces, which is good for meeting people, to be honest with you. It's kind of on par with like the Scorpio rising horoscopes. All right, well, I think that that's everybody for today. I just want to say thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on a Friday night. Make sure you subscribe. Give me a thumbs up before I end the chat and the live. I'm going to be having Astro Weather coming out on Sunday. I'm working on horoscopes for you guys. We've also got a new webinar that I'm going to be putting out on the Saturn transit in Aries, the Saturn boot camp. So if you guys want to sign up for my newsletter, click the links below. Head over to my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. You can sign up for my newsletter so you're alerted as when that becomes available later this month. You can also get a personal booking for a one-on-one reading with me, or we have gift cards. We also have courses, all kinds of other goodies like tarot bags, which are really cool, and zodiac mugs and personal calendars. So I'll see all of you guys very soon. Thanks for hanging out with me on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and you guys take care.